Here we go.
Good afternoon, YouTube. Man, always George Page, aka the Emperor of Female Bounty Talk, coming to you live on YouTube. Well, folks, the weekend is here. Just about a few more hours, it'll be officially a weekend. Even though you count Friday a bit of the weekend, but actually still the week because the fact that you're still working yet, and you're not home yet, so it's not really the weekend per se, but it's a prelude to the weekend. But it's Friday, baby. You know, folks, it's exciting when you get to enjoy the weekend. You know, for some people it's a little longer than others, but I always have a weekend. I don't have a job. So, folks, this is one of my comparisons for the end of this week, and I picked two lovely ladies from the women's bodyweight division. These two ladies are amazing ladies. They're from across the way in Europe. A lot of European women are very amazing. The physiques, the level of muscle they bring. These two ladies originally at one point started out doing physique as their pro, but then later on switched to women's bodybuilding, which has been a pretty good thing for them. We have here Nadia Capotosto. She is from Italy. And we have here Alida Opre. She is from Hungary. Now, I've done quite a few views of both these ladies. Both amazing ladies, great physiques, great potential. As you know, with Nadia, you remember, she actually, this weekend is the Puerto Rico Pro. And that's when she made her women's bodybuilding debut and got her first Olympic qualification at the 2021 Puerto Rico Pro. Then she did a couple more shows after that. You even get another qualification for the next year Olympia within a year. And Alina, she is from Hungary. Been competing for quite some time. She was women's physique for a couple of years, but later on we switched to women's bodybuilding. Now she turned pro. She actually got her pro card. No, sorry, not her pro card. Got her Olympic qualification at the 2024 Alida Popa Classic, and she looked pretty good. She did a couple of shows last year. She did the Alina show again, and also she did the Masters Olympia, but didn't get a qualification for this last year's Olympia. But hopefully we might see her compete sometime soon this year. I know Nadia's going to be active because I know last year she did New York, she did Toronto, and she did a couple more shows before the Olympia. But like I said, just amazing ladies, great physiques, great muscle, and we can't wait to see what they bring for this year's Olympic qualification. Now, these shows that last competed here, we have here, Nadia at the 2021 Mr. Bigman weekend. That show did have women's bodybuilding, in Europe 1 year, and that was the year where back then during the pandemic you can win and then also place second and get your Olympic qualification. That was pretty good. I mean, that really helped out. We had a good stack of women in bodybuilding that year, at least about maybe 20 head, And here we have Alida at the Alina Classic, that's in Romania. That's run by Alida Popa. I got the pleasure of meeting her a few years ago. I mean, beautiful lady, great physique, amazing classic women's bodybuilding. Both ladies have a great look to them. Aesthetics are somewhat different, but still have a great level of muscle. I respect their physiques. First off, we have here's a front lat spread. I think if I look at it from a standard, even though one thing that is pretty good is conditioning, but I feel like Alida has more of that size, that width. She has good lat development, good shoulders. So waist might be just a little bit smaller compared to Alida. I mean, to the Nadia. So if I go by aesthetic wise, I have to go with Alida on this one. Here we have the front double. Even though this was like back in 2021, everybody grows a little bit over time. But look at overall look, I feel like I want to go with most definitely Alida. She looks really good. Good details in the quad, that lat, that size, that fullness. As you know, to me, Nadia's still growing. It was just barely a couple of years when she switched over from women's physique to women's bodybuilding. But like I said, she's a great aesthetic, so I'll go with Alida on this one. Here we have the side chest. Good roundness, good development. You can really get that pop in the shoulders. Good conditioning, striation. You can see that connection between the upper part of the shoulder to the tricep. Good hang in the back of the quad. I would say here I have to go with Nadia. Here we have a nice rear lat spread. One thing I think Nadia is good at is conditioning. You can see good connection in the hamstrings and the glutes. A good width in the back, a great pop. Alida does have the size, especially the better lat development. But if we go by conditioning and overall look, I have to go with Nadia. And often I've been told the back can make or break how you place. So Nadia has to go with her. Here we have the rear double. And again, I think Nadia has the better conditioning. Alina has more of the size, just a bit, good size detail on her traps and also the upper part of the shoulders. Good lat width. But again, condition is very important. I think one thing Alina needs for this show, she's a little soft in the glutes. Not a good tie into the hamstrings. Again, Nadia's condition is just point on. So I give this one here to Nadia. Here we have the tricep. Even though Alida has a little bit more size compared to Nadia, overall it's conditioning. And Nadia is a conditioning monster. For a women's bodybuilding competitor, she comes in great condition. She's been a top 5 competitor at the Olympia, not top 10 competitor at the Olympia the last 2-3 years. So I have to go here. I have to go with Nadia. Here we have the ab and thigh pose. Even though condition a little better, but it's not as well. One thing is the better position when it comes to here where Alida, she has great length from her lats to her waistline, a great condition in the abs, good development in the quads. I think she's more of a front poser than she is a back poser. So, and what did Nadia like to do? She has to do that kind of lean kind of thing when she does a posing. But I love both ladies do the traditional double hand behind the back. I know physique competitors and some bodybuilders like to do the one hand, but double hand really get a focus of the lats to the waistline and also go and pop out the abs. So here I have to give this one here to Alida. Here we have a nice bicep pose. Size, peak, fullness is somewhat close. Even though this is not really more like a bicep pose compared to Nadia, compared to Alida's, but I really got to go with size and overall peak, so I have to go with Alida on this one. We have a nice shot from the back. And again, this is where Nadia keeps taking it. Her condition is crazy. Look, see the crispiness, the graininess, especially in the glutes, nice tie in the hamstring. Alida's still a bit soft. She's a thick girl, but she just got to really pull in conditioning. Coming tighter. She has good fullness, good width. But again, this is where Nadia's winning. Her conditioning is on point. That's why she plays so well in the shows and also at the Olympia. She has good conditioning. Just the size thing is the problem because, a lot of physique competitors coming up to women's bodybuilding usually takes a while for her to get that size. And she's been competing for quite some time. A few years ago, she took a break from bodybuilding because she's doing some medical issues. Both ladies have great looks, doing great aesthetics. When it comes to the physiques, I think Alida's more like traditional mass compared to Nadia, who's more traditional conditioning. That's a difference. Both ladies have great aesthetics, overall great builds. Like I'm a fan of both of them. I remember when Nadia first did an Olympia appearance back in 2021, she was so happy. She was crying. And she has some pretty eyes. I mean, those eyes are just amazing. These Italian women just have a great look to them. Alida, she's a mother. I remember I did a video about her for Mother's Day last year. She has a great physique, overall work ethic, being from Hungary. There's quite a few Hungarian bodybuilders that come into the sport for quite some time. But both these ladies, I would say, are top-notch competitors. I most definitely hope this do get qualification this year. Alina, she took a break after the Alina Popa Classic. Nadia, she did Olympia and then took a stop for a bit. She might do either Toronto, which get a qualification because she done it last year. She might do Spain, which she did before and get a qualification back in 2024, or she can do Portugal. Each show can do European. Or, like I said, it's not too many shows qualification here in the States. The limit's a few. Chicago's not on the list anymore, or New York, and also, a couple others. But both ladies are very impressive. Respect their passion, respect their hard work. These women from European bring a level of muscle that's amazing. And that's why I like to root for them. So anyway, best of luck to both of them, and I hope we get to see them this coming year for Olympic qualification. Anyway, it's me, Alida page, aka the Emperor of Female Body Talk. Don't like, subscribe. I'm out.